All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I know it's maybe earlier than some people are used to waking up, but thanks for being here. It makes it a lot more fun for me to do go-to training when everybody's here. So just kind of the basics. If this is your first time using go-to training, congratulations on getting this far. Um, Real quick, there's the text box, which is how you feel free to kind of post questions in there as it gets going faster and faster. I sometimes can't read everything, so if you have a question, and maybe if it passes by, I don't see it, or I'm in the middle of something, you can always raise your hand. There's a hand raise button. It's a picture of a hand. If you raise your hand, I will see that your hand is raised. I can call on you and I can unmute you. Everyone is muted just for the purpose of, it's loud, it's super loud, and everyone has background noise or whatever's going on at your house. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how that goes. Does anyone have any questions before we get started today about stuff from yesterday or assignments? I know got a few emails. Most of the time, if you're emailing me and there's not a direct question, you're just kind of letting me know something, I'll usually just read it. If you have direct questions, I try to answer them. Yeah, we're scheduled for an hour. We meet 3 times a week, so usually we don't take up the full hour during the go-to training. But yeah, the idea is that we block out an hour for it. So yes. All right. Well, if you have questions as we're going, feel free to raise your hand or jump in the chat box. Sometimes it's hard for me to do everything at once, but thanks again for being here. So, um, where are we going? I think that's kind of the question everyone has. Day one, I know yesterday we kind of went through housekeeping stuff, tried to give everyone, more or less try to give you the tools to get your initial assignments in. I know that's kind of a little bit stressful when we have stuff that's due on day one. So I like to, kind of spend day one making sure that everyone is, secure and knows what the expectations are for that day in class. But psychology of play, I know it probably brings up a lot of different ideas for people. Some people say psychology, and some people say play, or I guess some people hear psychology, and some people hear play. Um, so I get that expectations are probably all over the place coming in, or some people think it's about the psychology of the gaming industry, or I've heard a million things. Some people think it's a theater related class, um, but really, the main focus of the class is looking at how play affects us and how it's kind of woven throughout our life. From children, we start off and we all play. It's normal, it's natural, it's what everyone does. It's how we kind of explore the world. We explore the world through play. Um, and then kind of, as we get further along, usually, in school, kids get recess up to a certain grade, and then kind of like it gets taken back, and it kind of keeps, play keeps getting, farther and farther removed from, it's not one of the mainstays as we move through our education. And a lot of times people are, they're supplementing on the side. They're doing other things. You're playing video games at home, or maybe you're going out with friends. Maybe you're on sports teams. But play becomes kind of a something that we do on our own on the side, and a lot of times it's kind of it's our time constraints limit us, and we end up play kind of falls by the wayside, and generally a lot of people they say, oh, games are for kids, or something to that effect. And this class really kind of addresses that specifically. You know, Play is really it's good. It's good at any point, because what it does for us, psychologically. It's good. It's refreshing. It encourages us to be more creative, which is important for a lot of you. Going into creative fields. You want to have the tools to ensure that your creativity continues to flow. Um, So that's kind of the general broad outline for the class. Um, just housekeeping stuff. This is what FSO looks like. I think everyone saw this yesterday in class. You've seen it on your own. I don't think anyone had any real issues navigating the platform. If you do, FSO support's great. You can talk to me after the lecture. I sit around and I hang out for a little while. But I think everyone's pretty on board with how FSO works. Check your messages daily. That's another big thing. So right, you can see the little letter that's circled. It'll light up when you have new mail or new messages. Check them. I think it's worth it to check it every day. You never know what's going to happen. I check my email pretty regularly. I probably get more email than most of you will get, but it's important. I may email you, something about an assignment. We may have, I may have clarifying questions about something you've done. So just check it. It's there. I also post, announcements there throughout the course. So it's just a good thing to kind of be on top of, and it's a good habit to get into, as we move forward, through school and through our professional careers. It's kind of the expectation for me, at least, work wise, is that I'll check my email, at least probably Monday through Friday. And I generally am checking my email Saturday and Sunday as well, but kind of, there's an expectation, as we move through our professional careers, that we'll be more on top of our email and communication. So I would encourage you to start that practice early. It never hurts to check your mail. So talking about play, what kind of play activities does everyone like? And feel free, if you want to raise your hand, raise your hand. If you want to jump in the chat box, jump in the chat box. But what are some of your favorite play activities? Or maybe what were they historically? If maybe it's been a while since you had a good, play activity. Basketball, Skyrim, playing sports and instrument, playing Xbox with friends, football. Okay, kind of all over the place. You used to like going to the public pool with your friends, PC gaming. Okay, soccer. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Listening to music, generally speaking. Video games, watch TV shows. Playing tag as a kid was great. Playing guitar, design graphics, playing chess. Okay, sure. So play kind of it's everyone's probably done it. That's kind of the main thing that we look at. We take that and we say, well, everyone's had play at some point in their life, so you probably have an idea of what it is. When I was a kid, I played a lot. I like to climb trees. I like to go swimming, riding bikes. As an adult, what's fun for me is slightly different. One thing that I really still like is a big carryover, and it's very hard because it's difficult to field a team. But I love kickball. I think kickball is a fantastic game because pretty much everyone can figure out the rules of kickball, but you don't have to be nearly as coordinated as you do to play baseball. So, and it doesn't take any extra. You don't need the bat. You just need the ball. So, I'm a big kickball fan. I think it's a great equalizer, and I think a lot of people end up enjoying it. But that's one of my favorite games. So everyone's played. So that's kind of everyone's on the same page with that one, which that's great. Now the next question is, why did you all come to Full Sail? And again, the chat box or raise your hand. Either way, I can unmute you. Happy to hear from everybody. What brought you here? What made you choose Full Sail? Whether it's the degree programs, whether it's you knew somebody who went here. Why did you all choose this? The degree program, film. You have a passion for gaming. Okay. To get into the industry quicker and take classes and things that you're interested in. Okay, yeah, definitely. That's a big one. To pursue your dreams, absolutely. Different teaching styles, sure, yeah, absolutely. There's definitely more of a hands-on approach, degree program, and get into the industry quicker. Yeah, I think that's a common theme. I think a lot of people, are really passionate about what they want to do. You had your most positive experiences at Full Sail or other colleges. Cool, that's awesome to hear. I'm glad that we can provide a positive experience. Music production program, learn how to use software, create more professional sound in your music. Awesome. Is the chat mandatory as part of our grade? No, it's not mandatory. But I ask questions, and it's boring if you don't talk. So you don't feel like you have to say anything. But I like it. It makes my job and this whole interaction a lot easier. To learn more about the industry, to make it in the industry. Okay. Yeah. So it sounds like everyone kind of has similar ideas. About why they came here. I think that what common theme I find with our students is that everyone is pretty creative. And that kind of spans the whole range. We have people who are singers and songwriters, and we have people who, are great graphic designers, to people who are fantastic web and mobile development designers. Who their creativity comes through being able to write code great. And that's a pretty impressive skill. I think that a lot of people, tend to look at the student body, and it's kind of like a polarized place, and people tend to hang out, with their degree programs or with like the degree clusters. But what everyone has in common is that they're here for, to basically put their creativity out on paper, which I really appreciate. I think that play is one of the things that ends up fueling creativity. And I think that's why this class is as relevant as it is. It sounds like everyone's pretty passionate about why they want to be here, and they're interested in getting out into the world faster. They want, everyone wants the hands-on experience. So yeah, I'm glad everyone is here for similar reasons. Um, so kind of looking at things from the big picture. A lot of times, I think people might say, again, you go back to, why play? Why is this important? We're all adults. We have work to do. We're busy. Um, why are we sitting with this guy talking about play, instead of getting our hands on the gear and doing that? Which I can't say I blame you. I think I'd have the same question if I was sitting in your position. And as you'll find out, creative, successful, innovative people are people almost exclusively across the board who play. A lot of times people will, they'll go back to play. If you look at some of the biggest companies, and we'll go through this throughout the month. The biggest companies that are out there that are, you think of the tech giants like Google, they encourage their employees to play. They have, facilities on site. They have, all sorts of extra activities. They have time set up where people can work on their own projects and do things that they think are fun, because they want the best out of their employees. They want them to continue to be creative, successful, and innovative. And a lot of times, that happens through play. If you think about, how you learned a lot of things throughout life, a lot of times there were games involved with it. A lot of initial education for kids is, think about learning the alphabet. Is you sang a song to learn the alphabet. Whether or not that was fun, I don't know. But you think about singing is kind of is a form of play. So we're kind of conditioned to play from an early age. You can look at animals a lot of times, and they're playing, and you'd think, I mean, and I'm sorry, I'm referring to animals in the wild. But you look at bear cubs, and they're sit and wrestle and play around with each other, and it's not getting them anywhere. They're not getting food. They're basically just burning energy that could otherwise be used for other things. So kind of from like that whole survival of the fittest perspective, it doesn't seem like it makes sense to play. And what we kind of come to find out is that even in nature, just the social interactions involved in play are really indispensable. What we learn from play early on kind of carries and guides us through the rest of our life. It just says a lot of media industries are shifting towards an in-office play mentality, making workplace more friendly and playable. Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge thing. I know, and we have videos that we'll get to later on in the month where we pinpoint, like we look at Google specifically because they're one of the companies that really they go above and beyond with making their workplace playful because they're realizing they're getting a lot better results out of their employees. And I think at the end of the day, whether or not you think play is important, it's hard to argue with the results that these companies are getting. That's kind of the real thing. Is most people that you might talk to an executive and they might say, oh, I think that this play business is a lot of phooey and I don't think it's important, but they're not going to argue with the results. If people are getting their work done, they're continuing to innovate and be creative. That's what the people want. That's what we want as consumers. That's what bosses want out of their teams. And they're looking for out of the box ideas to get them to be successful. And they found that play is pretty good for that. So yeah, it's interesting the role that it takes on in adults. So so that's kind of some of the reasons that we have play. That's why we have it as adults. That's why it's important. So I would encourage everybody, if anyone has any reservations about play, or maybe says, hey, I don't have time for this, or I'm too busy, I'd encourage you to kind of just examine the possibilities with play. You don't have to play like everyone else. That's the one thing that's nice about this course. I ask everyone to kind of engage in play. Does the chat affect your grades or attendance? No, you don't have to chat in the thing. I like it if you do. It makes this more interesting. But no, it does not affect your grades or attendance. So right. So that's kind of why we have play as adults. So right there, play how it shapes the brain, opens imagination, and invigorates the soul. I think that as we, as children, I think almost anyone can sit and think about times they maybe played make believe, did other things. You think about how creative you were as a kid, the ideas that you came up with, and maybe I can't remember everything I came up with, but I definitely I had a lot of different ideas when I was a kid. I was probably more creative as a child than I am as an adult, and that's neither here nor there. But right, I had the opportunity to play a lot, and it was a lot of fun. I had a good time. So again, looking at it and seeing how it can be useful to us now, I think is pretty important and useful. A lot of times, it's the whole recharge your batteries. We're asking a lot from you while you're in school. Your schedule doesn't get any less demanding. As you move on. And it's important to know, like, oh, sometimes I get stressed out, and here's, good ways to cope with that moving forward. Play is oftentimes one of the best things. It's a way to kind of get our mind off of maybe things that are stressed out or that are stressing us. It's a way to kind of to revitalize ourselves after, a lot of times people, you get all your stuff turned in and then, you have some free time and you go play, enjoy life, not have to think about class for a little while. So I think it's important. It's important for you all, just for kind of, mental health purposes. You want to be in a good mindset. So yeah, I would definitely encourage people to think about play as they move forward. Um, so we have some defining characteristics of play, and they're all here, but we'll go through them one at a time. Um, so play is apparently purposeless. And what that means is that, there doesn't necessarily have to be an aim or a goal at play. And play doesn't have to meet all of these things, but, generally it meets many of them. So, we're out to play just for its own sake. We're playing, we're having a good time. That we don't have, profit motive. We're not interested in, a reward we get. Play is its own reward, and so it's apparently purposeless. Voluntary, kind of similar to purposeless, but right, again, it's not compulsory. We're not being forced into play. No one's making us do it. We can walk away from it if we feel like it, but we're out there because we want to be out there. We're playing because we want to be playing. Not because we have to. So there's an inherent attraction to play, and what I mean by that is, we see someone, maybe you see, a group of students and they're playing a game, they're doing something, there's a group, and you say, oh, what are those people doing? That looks like a lot of fun. We're just inherently attracted to it, and that's different for everyone. What attracts you is going to be different for each person. So don't feel like you have to fit into a particular box or category for play. Some people like Dungeons and Dragons, and some people like football, and some people like playing piano. What attracts each person is going to be different. And right, just kind of knowing yourself and knowing what's fun for you and what you're into. It's important to know those things, and a lot of times we don't. We do what our friends do, or we do, in school. A lot of times it was, you go to PE class and they say, okay, we're playing, flag football today, and whether or not you like flag football, you're playing it. And that's kind of what separates it, because in that situation, it's not voluntary, and it might not be something you're inherently attracted to, and you're just being told to do it. But play is something that you choose it because you want to do more of it. A lot of times when we play, we experience freedom from time, and I'm sure everyone's had this experience. You are doing something fun, and you look up and you think, oh, 20 minutes has gone by and it's been an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. Inevitably at this point, I always find a handful of people, who maybe are gamers, who started playing games at 10 o'clock at night, and then the next time they look up, the sun's coming up. And they say, well, I didn't mean to do that. And I am guilty of that, definitely. When I was when I was a younger person, there were definitely some nights when I saw the sun come up because I was playing video games. So it's definitely it's happened to me. So freedom from time can sometimes be a problem, but generally it means we were having a good time. We're enjoying ourselves. Kind of time flies when you're having fun is the saying. So something to think. Has anyone had that experience before? Freedom from time when they were playing something? They completely lose track of time? Absolutely. No doubt. Last night playing video games. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. So I'm glad to see I'm not the only one. Yeah. Diablo 3. There you go. Yeah. It's definitely easy to kind of get caught up, especially video games. They'll get their hooks in you, and they'll kind of pull you in. So it can be different. I'll just be 20 minutes. Yeah, I feel like I've said that before. Definitely. Yeah, it's easy. It's easy to get caught up in stuff. Well, it's because it's fun, because you're interested, and it's a good time. Um, One more quest. Yeah, there you go. Talking to your mentor has the same effect on you. Absolutely. Yeah. You get, I mean, right. Conversations with our friends can be that way, or mentors, or whoever we're talking to. We can be so, enthralled in the conversation and what's going on, that we lose track of time, and it kind of just flies by because, right, we're engaged and we like what we're doing. it's pretty awesome. You know, if anyone hasn't had that experience, you know, of kind of losing all track of time, it's kind of a magical thing. You know, you're like, whoa, where did the time go? And you know, it's right. It's a sign that, you know, it's like, wow, this was great. I was having a great time. It's nice that I can be so involved in something that I really love. So diminished consciousness of self. This kind of has a number of different meanings. I look at it from a couple of different ways. You know, I like the phrase "dance like nobody's watching." You know, a lot of times we're self conscious. We think about, you know, oh, what's everyone going to think about me? How do I look? Do I look stupid doing this? You know, blah blah blah. And what I would encourage, you know, people to do, I mean, and this does it manifests in, you know, when we're engaged in play, and not always, but a lot of times, we kind of just stop caring about what people think about us, or what, you know, do we look stupid, you know, while we're out, you know, playing our sport or playing our game or doing whatever it is we're doing. You know, I've had that experience. I like to go running. And when I go on long runs, I wear very short shorts, which I wouldn't wear typically. You know, like I'm like, because they look silly because they're very short. Um, but then I run better in them. So like, you know, for me, I'm like, well, I don't really care how I look when I go running because I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying myself. And you know, I just, what people think about me isn't that big of a deal. After I'm done running, I'm like, okay, I'm wearing these very, very short shorts, and I make sure to get home and change pretty quick. But you know, so there's, I'm not thinking about myself nearly as much. Diminished consciousness of self, I think can also manifest when, so there are a couple of ways, when maybe sometimes we're doing something and we don't realize, we're not, our body maybe doesn't register, you know, if we, you know, are playing a game and we kind of get scuffed up a little bit, we get hurt a little bit, and sometimes we don't realize that we've kind of, you know, gotten roughed up until after we're done playing, you know. Maybe you fall down and you know, scrape your knee, but you're having a great time, so you just get back up and keep playing. Things like that, and that comes across a lot of different ways for different people. But right, so diminished consciousness of self, it kind of comes across in a couple different forms. But right, there's different ways that shows up. Improvisational potential. So I'm sure that as kids, we all, you know, you're wandering along, you're singing, you know, all the things that you see, you know, or you're making up a game as you go. The improvisational potential, it remains there. I think that sometimes we forget about it. We forget, you know, oh, I can make this up as I go. You know, some games really lend themselves to you know, you to lend themselves to people, you know, improvising, which is great. And some of them are more structured, but you know, you think about, it goes anywhere from, you know, a sport where, you know, there's a lot of different ways to do something, and you kind of improvise and figure out how you're going to do it in that situation, to storytelling type games, or storytelling in and of itself. So play generally, you know, can have that improvisational potential. And it can be a lot of fun. It can make, you know, it can keep play fresh and new, and keep it from kind of getting dull and stale and old. So continuation desire. So we continue to want to do play activities. That's kind of just what that means. You know, we're continually drawn to it. We want to keep going back to it. We find ourselves, you know, when we're not doing it, thinking about it. You know, I'm sure everyone's had that experience before, when you go out and you do something, it's a ton of fun, and then you can't stop thinking and talking about it afterwards, and you just want to keep going back and doing it again. So I can't imagine that. I think everyone's probably had that experience at some point in their life, something that just keeps drawing you back to it. If you haven't, keep playing. You'll get there eventually. But definitely Pokemon Go, Overwatch, Tony Road. Yeah, there you go. There's all sorts of things that can, you know, right, keep drawing you back into them. Absolutely. What I'll say about these aspects or elements of play, don't confuse these with play personalities. Don't worry, I won't. Excellent. That's what I want to hear. Play personalities we'll talk about in class tomorrow. I believe that they're also covered in your readings. I'd have to pull them up to check. But I'm pretty sure that play personalities are covered in your readings for week 1. If you haven't, they are. Thank you, Asia. Perfect. If you haven't done the readings, I'd say get on those, read them. The week 1 readings aren't too bad. They're pretty cool. The play history is pretty interesting. Kind of thinking about what play's been like for you historically, what that looks like now. So definitely get those readings done. The qualities of play are in there that we just talked about now, but also play personalities. That's the other thing. We are going to talk about play personalities. It will be an interactive discussion in class, so come prepared to talk about play personalities tomorrow in class. It's about the journey, not the outcome. So kind of want to get everybody engaged and involved. We all end up in different places, at the end of school, in our professional careers. But we want people to kind of all have the same tools. We want you to be equipped. And I think that this is a really fun class to kind of start off with. It's a good way. It's a good class to put you in a great mindset for moving forward with your educations. My goal with all of you is for you to be successful, not just in my class, but to have some additional skills that maybe you either got to refine, or if you didn't have them at the beginning of class, that we can develop, so that way you're better students moving forward. You have better ideas as far as taking care of yourself, making sure that you're doing the things that you need to do to be successful in your education and in your careers. I'm 100% on everyone's side in here. Your biggest cheerleader. I want you to be successful. So again, feel free, reach out to me. Questions about the course, questions about other courses, whatever it is. I really want to see you all be successful. And that's it. That's it for today. If you have questions, feel free to jump in and ask them. You can raise your hand if you want. You can type them in the chat box. You can, if you want to wait till everyone's gone and just talk to me, you can do that. Or you can email me. Whatever makes you happy. Just however you want to get a hold of me. Feel free to reach out. Oh, the quote. It's not about the journey. Oh, it's about the journey and not the outcome. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you chose Full Sail. It's a fun place for me to teach. I really enjoy being here. So I'm glad that you chose it. If you don't have questions, you're free to go. You can just exit out of the box. If you do, hang tight. We have this every week. Yes, we have go-to training every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Please, 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 now that we've had the go-to training, go into the go-to training activity and click that you've completed it. Where do you find the readings again? The readings are on the FSO platform. Let me see. I believe that they are activity 1.3. Again, make sure that you click I've completed the go-to training in the go-to training activity. I believe it's activity 1.2. It's on there. It says go-to training and it says attendance. So make sure that you click on that. So that way I know that you did it. 1.1. Okay. Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate that. If you want to watch the go-to training again, I'm archiving it. You can come back and watch this. Did I say, yeah, every Wednesday we have go-to training. If you aren't able to make it during the live session, that's fine. No worries. I won't hold it against you. Just make sure that you watch the archived video. So if you go into the same activity, the go-to training for the week, each week there's a new, activity. I'll post the video after I get done doing the training. So after this, I'll go in, I'll make a post, I'll make my video, I'll put it up on YouTube, and you can go watch it whenever you want. Do you get anything out of this besides good info? Like, what do you mean specifically? You don't get like I don't come through the screen and uh, GPS points or a grade. Yeah, I mean your attendance grade is directly attached to this. So yeah, if you don't go, if you don't do your go-to trainings, you will lose attendance. I wish I could come through the screen. That would be a lot of fun. I'd be like, it'd be crazy. But it doesn't. No. So yeah, it's tied. It's tied to your attendance credit. So which is also tied to GPS. So yes, you don't get more GPS points, but you don't lose the GPS points you have if you attend. Yes, there you go. So yeah, that is you get to keep all your GPS intact. So yes, that is the answer. Anybody else? More questions? Jump in with them if you have them. You can raise your hand if you want, or chat them to me. If you don't have questions, you like I said, free to go. Yeah, thank you, and you have a good day as well. Yeah. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.